So I'm just waiting just wait. I guess when SVA once the process, because it's still processing.
Yeah, so you get a cage code.
Yeah, yeah. I'm waiting. Yeah.
Yep, once you get that cage code, you're done.
Okay.
You don't have to do anything else with them until a year later. So congratulations, that's a big deal. And he did it without support. So that's a big deal. All right. Anybody else? Any other wins? What you got?
Like I said, I put in my certificate.
Oh, he did. He did his SWAM certification. Yep, and that's a 90-day certification, y'all. So SWAM takes a long, long, long time. They haven't got their system updated yet. Matter of fact, mine renewed soon. Dang. So that's a big deal. Congratulations. He did have a question that came up with the SWAM certification. SWAM is only a Virginia state certification. You will not see SWAM anywhere else. So it did ask him if he was military or if he was a disabled. He selected military, but he should have actually selected disabled vet. And so now he has, I told him, don't interrupt them. It's already 90 days. Don't mess them people up. So now once they reach out to him, he'll be able to update them. Sorry, I didn't know. Please update this. Anytime you make a change with SWAM, I think they got like 60 days to update it. That's a long, dang long process, y'all. But just go with the flow. You can't change it, so you just go with it. All right. Any other wins? Did anybody get? What you got?
I wasn't here last week, but I'm already swim certified.
Good.
Already.
Good. Okay. All right. All right. She already done checked off a lot. Swim is small women owned minority. And it's only a Virginia certification. So if you live in Maryland, you can't get that. Matter of fact, we just met with them today so that they can be a part of the matchmaking and at the NCMA event next month. And they were telling Wanda that they have capital for small business with zero interest. So she was like, people only know us for our certification, but don't nobody know us for the other resources that we provide to the small businesses. So that's why it's so important to be in the rooms, y'all, because I didn't even know. I didn't know they did um, loans, zero interest. I always got the bad loans. So I'm like, dang, wish I'd have known. I've been with them for 7 years. Had no clue. So she's going to come and be on a panel. She's going to set up a booth. She's going to do matchmaking to see how she can help the small businesses, but they're the agency that's also in charge of the SWAM certification. So we also do SWAM labs. And so we help people walk through that entire process. It's not bad. One thing you will realize, and we're going to talk about certifications tonight, but one thing you realize is when you collect those documents for whatever certification you do first, you're going to use all those same documents for every certification afterwards. So once you do it one time, don't get stressed out and quit because it's a little tough and you have some questions. What kind of letters? Capability statements. Oh, because you have two different businesses.
Under the same guy.
Okay. I have to look at it. Who has their capability statement? Okay, can you collect them from me?
Do you have them physically or do you?
You send it to me? Oh, that's how I got more I was wondering why I was getting them notifications. Y'all put them in the jot form.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, y'all are smart. Oh, somebody should have told me. No, that's when y'all originally did it. I didn't know y'all was going back. Y'all smart though, because I could easily get them there. Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. Anybody else got stuck anywhere? Do y'all all understand what he means when he said he did multiple capability statements? Yep. Yeah. So for like me, I have a catering business, I have a coaching business, education business, then I have an event planning business. Every single last one of them have to have their own capability statement. Because if I go to HHS and they want me for my consulting, for my education piece, they don't want to see nothing that I'm doing with catering. They don't want to see nothing that I'm doing at my event center. They want to see what are my core competencies in that particular field, the education field, or whatever I'm doing with them, consulting or strategic planning. Now, what I'm really good at is grouping stuff together. I'm not going to have 19 capability statements because it's too much to keep up with. But I'm able to group some of my core competencies together to make it easy for me and easy for them. And most of the time when they're looking at your capability statement, they're trying to figure out how they can match and align you with that agency. What do they have versus what can you do? And that's really what your capability statement for. A lot of people think they use that capability statement to respond to proposals. You don't. A proposal will never ask you to upload your capability statement. Now, if you go to a matchmaking event, they are going to ask you if you have a capability statement. Most people, because a lot of new contractors, they don't come with capability statements. So when they know you're a new contractor and you already have your capability statement, they take you more serious because they know you know a little bit more about this government contracting stuff than regular people. No. So, and that's the thing. Everybody has a primary NAIC code. You only get one. So have you ever went to the bank and they ask you, what do you do? They are categorizing you and they're putting you under a NAIC code. They will never change it. Never change it. So my primary NAIC code is 541611, right? That is my primary NAIC code. That's what my bank have. That is what my capability state. That's pretty much what my website is all about. Everything else is just extra. It's just extra. Even though I have other NAIC codes on my capability statement, you always have a primary NAIC code. So you have to decide what is that one thing you want everybody to know you do. Like for me, it's consulting. That is that one thing that everybody knows that I do. The event planning, the catering, all the other things, marketing, web design, that's additional things that I do. Okay, good questions. What else? All right, we're about to dive in. We got to dive in the certification overview. Wanda, that's you.
That's me.
Yep, tag.
You can review these.
Oh, yeah. Give some feedback.
So, hey, welcome back. Glad to see you all. So we gave you all the certifications, and I want to just kind of go through it with you for a little bit, just so you understand that there are certifications out here, but just also so you understand how they work, and just to give you a little bit of confirmation that they do work. Each certification has its own power in that there's a different amount of money that you can potentially be sole sourced, meaning they don't have to complete the contract. You know, they'll just award it to you based on what your certification is or based on what the needs are if it falls inside that certification. Specifically, service disabled and veteran-owned small businesses. Those are your two most powerful. And like I shared earlier a few minutes ago, 0% rating is a rating. That is a disability rating. So you can do service disabled. And the reason you want to have anything tied to the veteran community is because the Department of Veterans Affairs' first criteria for awarding contracts is to a veteran. They have to go through that process first before they can go to the outside. So you want to make sure you have that. They can't give it to you if they don't see it, if they can't confirm it. Okay. Women-owned and economically disadvantaged. The thing about economically disadvantaged is you have to kind of live in where your business has to be operating in a certain type of community, one that's underutilized, disadvantaged, and that's to give that community a leg up because you have to hire so many people. Your workforce has to be structured to have so many people from that community. So it's about leveraging that opportunity, not only for you, but for them. 8A is the one that Tasha scared you guys with last week when the lady got indicted.
She got trial tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll keep y'all updated.
But let me tell you the power of 8A. 8A is that certification where you don't have to compete. The contractor will choose you. And I know that because when I was working, I had a contract. I had some services that I needed. It was a couple $1 million, maybe $2-3 million. But I had a particular vendor that I wanted to work with. And the contracting specialist asked me specifically, is he 8A? And I was like, no, but does that matter? Does he need to be? And he said, if he is, I can just award the contract. So I just went and found another prime and made him the sub. So I didn't have to go through all that. So if you can get an 8A, 8A works. And the thing about the 8A, there's a strategy to that. You can hold 8A for 9 years, providing all things go back to being the same in the future. You can hold the 8A for 9 years. But the thing about the 8A and the strategy with that is if I'm an 8A and I'm at year 5, then I want to help somebody else become an 8A. Because when I get to year 9, you should have 3 years of service and contracts behind you. So again, I just showed you, contracting officers, that's a short field, that's a short profession. They're not going to work only as hard as they need to. So if I can just tell them that you're an 8A and I can show proof that you're an 8A, and we can just, because I'm going to lose my contract, okay, we can just give it to you and then you can just sub the work back to me. And you know, I know how to do it because I did it for whatever period of time. So there's a strategy behind these certifications that's truly critical for your own success, as well as bringing somebody behind you to be just as successful. Okay. HubZone. HubZone is similar. Yes. I'm sorry. No, once after the 9 years is done, you
You
can't.
can never
you can
reapply
never do it
again.
again.
And it also affects your family. So, for example, if I get the 8A, my children cannot get the 8A, cannot go into the 8A program. They are about to end that program. So, unfortunately, it's one of the, it's under attack right now. So,
Because
that's the one that I was telling y'all.
yeah.
They asking for your personal bank accounts, your business bank accounts, your personal taxes, your business taxes. So once they get enough fraud and abuse up under it, they're just going to end the program. And they've been wanting to do this for a very long time. So stay away.
But
Yeah,
just in case they don't do it, you know, you can get up to $4 million on an 8A contract.
that is
so,
true.
I mean, you know, 9 years, $4 million, what's that, like 40 million? When by the time you do the math, 4.5 times 9. I'm just saying. HubZone is similar to the economically disadvantaged. You know, again, it's about giving communities a leg up because there are some communities that are truly disadvantaged and they want to do what they can to make everybody successful. And you have to understand the federal government taxpayer dollars. So they're supposed to have fair and open competition that rewards the opportunity and effort of everybody. So these are the kind of programs that they put in place to do it. And these are necessary for you because there are enough contracts for big business or small big business. Don't think small business is you alone. Small business is company, depending on what NAICS code they're in, it could be hundreds of employees and tens of millions of dollars in revenue. So you're not small business competing with small business. You might be micro business competing with small business.
Yep.
But the point is, you have to understand, you know, the playing field for small business, whatever certifications you can get to leverage yourself and make the contractor choose you as opposed to you have to choose a contract, then you want to position yourself to do that.
And let me tell y'all, I've been in Virginia for 7 years. My husband's now retired. And when we moved to Virginia, I put my office, not knowing, I put my office in a city that the entire city was a hub zone. I didn't find out that the entire city was a hub zone until I moved my office. And what bothered me was that nobody told me. It was never a conversation. Even the people I was renting the office from didn't think that it was important for me to know. And everybody else was leveraging all of us being in the hub zone, except this little black girl, because this little black girl did not know the power. Hard to be listed as a hub zone because not only do you have to, your office have to be there, but a percentage of your employees have to be in a hub zone. And so at the time, I was living there and my office was in that area, and I had no clue what a hub zone was, didn't know. I found out how much money they were giving away afterwards, and it was crazy. But that's why knowledge is so powerful, and you talking to people and asking the right questions and doing your research, it can better equip you to leverage and take advantage of the opportunities that's right there in our face.
And then you have the MBE, which is the Minority Business Enterprise. And then you have the SWAM. SWAM is Virginia-based, you know, like she said, small women and minority businesses. Now, all of these certifications in some way support minority opportunities of some kind. It's up to you, like you said, to do your research and find out which ones you can benefit from, because what's the point of having the programs if you're going to take advantage of them? And then, you know, a lot of times we don't take advantage of stuff and then we go out and say that, you know, we don't have opportunities, but we do. But nobody's going to just walk up and gift you an opportunity. You got to do the research. As far as they're concerned, they already put the opportunity out there. It's up to you to know that it exists and understand how it applies to you.
Now, MBE is a state certification. So there is a national MBE. When people say, when you had your national MBE to help you, the answer was no. So the national MBE does cost. Luckily, I got a grant because I am the grant and contract queen. Okay, I don't like paying for anything. And so I got a grant. Chase actually paid for my national MBE. The national MBE is based off of how much income your company has made. So it can go up to $10,000, you know, for that certification that you got to certify every year. And so I had Chase pay for it for me. Thank you, Jesus. And I had that contract, that certification for 3 years, and I never, ever, ever got a contract from it. And so one of the things that I learned, which I share very openly, is that a certification, except one contract, has never done anything for me. Now, I also share with people, just being transparent, there are certifications that have helped my mentees, but that depends on the area, that depends on the type of contract, that depends on the priority, that depends on the goal, those type of things. So when people come to me now under this current administration and they say, do I need to go get certified? It depends. It depends on where you're at. It depends on what you're going after. It depends on what agency you're working with. Now, when I talked to y'all about Maryland last week, Maryland loves their minorities. They love them. They don't care about what the federal government is doing because their money don't come from, majority of their money don't come from the federal government. And so when you learn your areas, that's why I always tell people, starting your backyard first, because everywhere you play in, you must learn the rules of the game in that specific area. Okay. So I know I'm telling y'all to go get certified. VOSB is different, right? So if you don't do no other certification, do SWAM, because SWAM matters, and do VOSB or SDVOSB. You really don't have to do any other certification. Those two certifications will carry you. If you're in Maryland, do your MBE, whatever Maryland's MBE. I just did a contract where I had to partner with my mentee because that county had a specific MBE certification that you had to have in order to go after that contract. That contract is teaching government contracting, literally exactly what I do. And so it would have been crazy of me not to go after it, but without my mentee, I would have never been able to go after it because that county required that county certification in order for you to go after that contract. So you got to pay attention to the contracts because the contracts will always tell you. They will always tell you if a certain certification is required. Now, on the flip side of it, it gets a little tricky. I did $1 million contract in Texas. It was an event planning contract for the airport. In the contract, it said you just needed to be MBE certified. Well, I was MBE certified. After they closed it, they sent me an email and was like, yeah, no, you needed to be Dallas MBE certified. But that's not what the contract said. So 9 times out of 10, they already had somebody they wanted to give it to, and they were figuring out a reason to knock me out. So I could have challenged it, but I'm not in the business of making enemies in the government unless I have to. I pull that card when I have to. And that one I wasn't willing to fight because I'm like, they might be able to get away with that. But those are some of the games that the government play when the government want to do what the government want to do. Because I know this, I don't let it bother me. But a new person will get very discouraged. And a new person be like, I'm done with government contracting because they just took away $1 million contract from me. If it's one out there, eventually it will be another. So you have to learn how to learn the rules of the game, play the game. Now, I know better. I knew I should have went in with a Dallas business instead of trying to be the big girl and go in by myself. That taught me a valuable lesson. Won't do that again because I know the state of Texas favored their people over anybody else. Same thing Virginia and same thing Maryland. So any questions?
Okay, so the last thing I want to share with you about certifications, like I can personally hold 5. I'm service disabled, I'm a veteran, I'm a woman, I'm a minority, and I'm living in Virginia, so I swim. But I understand that my most powerful one is the service disabled one, just like anything else. But you have to read, and I would say pay attention to the organizations that you're trying to do business with, because organizations get into a habit. They repeat the same thing every year. You can look back at the history and see what the percentage of the contracts they awarded to certain types of certifications. And that helps you to guide who your customer is trying to be or who you're trying to make your customer. And it helps you to better use your time. You cannot go out here and go after everybody. Government is too big for that, whether it's state, local, or federal. It's too big. So you have to have a strategy. If you don't have a strategy, you're going to wear yourself out. You're going to wear yourself down. The first strategy I would tell you, like I said to you, you're a small business and potentially, true story, I was as a director of a financial institute or financial agency. The lady walked in. I was getting ready to terminate their contract because they had outgrown their small business status. She came in trying to talk about it, but it is what it is. You got from small business to big business in the same contract. You have companies that will do that. But she grew out a small business after making $10 million. That's not the $10,000 you're trying to make. So don't try to go after these contracts by yourself. It's important to be in the room. And I will share with you, I did meet with the SWAM lady, deputy director of the Virginia SWAM office or certification office. She's going to be at a matchmaking event. That's one of the things I shared with Latoya last week. If you're serious about this, you have got to be in the right rooms. You can't do this by yourself, and nobody's going to walk up and gift you an opportunity, especially when they're trying to get one themselves. If you can't invest in yourself, this is not going to work for you. By being in the room where other people are aggressively and seriously seeking contract opportunities, you find your partners. You find your people that you can collaborate with, that you can become internal partners. You find your community and you hold on to that community, because together you're going to win. Individually, you're going to be struggling. Any questions?
All right. Let's get to the good part. First of all, who capability statements are these? I can just tell you, looking at your capability statement, you are very powerful. I am looking at, now it's only one thing, but I'm gonna tell you the good first. I am looking at past performance. I am looking at what makes you different. I am looking at your core competencies, and automatically, just like I told them, I can go and find you contracts with my eyes closed. The only thing, if I don't know any better, you have the WOSV on here, but the primary person is a male. Okay. Now, it's not a problem. I'm going to be honest with you, because this is a safe room. This is the strategy that's taught, right? It's been going on for decades. If you are male, because majority of the time, the men run the companies, but the women at one point were more powerful than men. You, a veteran? Okay. All right. So you need her. So it's nothing wrong with you being here or you doing anything for the company, because when I moved here 7 years ago, I was in DC every day. And every day I was in a room full of men. And those men would not talk to me. And they were trying to figure out why I was there, who was I, and how all the big people knew who I were. None of those men in those rooms would even talk to me or knew who I was, because government contracting is a male-dominated industry. Although the women are who's on the company, because that was an advantage at one point. Now it's not an advantage because of our new administration. They don't want the women a part of this. They want the women out. However, all you have to do is just add her name to your capability statement, because that's the first thing they're going to look at. That's really a man. He's just taking advantage of the WSB. But that's what they do. That is nothing wrong with that. That is a strategy. But because I'm training you, I'm just giving you the insights. Add her name. She'll never have to show up. Not one time did I meet the women. I've always met the men. The men is who run this industry. Men. Women, they're going to look at you crazy. They don't want us there. Now, because of all the transition over the last decade, the women are more friendly with the women, right? They realize that it's a male-dominated industry. And so anytime I'm doing matchmaking with a woman, I'm like, yes. Anytime I'm doing matchmaking with a man, I'm like, damn, I'm out. Shoot. Didn't know it was going to be like this. But, so you got to strategize. If you walking in the room, so say any of y'all show up to the NCMA, the first thing you want to look at is who's doing the matchmaking. Is it a woman? Is it a man? Because if it's a woman, normal conversation. If it is a man, you have to approach them differently. They don't want that fluff. They don't care about all the problems you got going on at home. They want to get straight to business. And once you realize who you're dealing with, that's how you have better success rates. Got to know who you're talking to. Government contracting is all about the men. But everything about your capability statement is money, dollar signs. I mean, you don't even have to do a lot of talking, because your capability statement speaks for you. I love that you put subcontractor on there. Most people don't put subcontractor on there. So automatically, I would deem you as trustworthy. You were transparent from the beginning. So you're working with something. You just don't know you got a lot to work with. You got a lot to work with. So the thing that the number one question that I get, y'all, anytime I'm teaching the class is, where do you go and find contracts? Number one question that I get. So on your second handout, you guys have my top 5 places. Okay. Y'all should have 2 different handouts, the certification one, and then you should have the one at the top that says Coach Brooks' top 5 sourcing portals. Okay. We got a question.
Is everybody? Is everybody?
Okay.
You got
Okay.
it? Okay.
He just don't know it. There you go. Boom. There y'all go. Nope. Yep. That's your second one. That's yours. Yep. It does. Yeah. It's tricky. Okay. So, my number one place is always going to be my state portal. So raise your hand if you're in Virginia. Okay. So EVA, which is the first one on that list, that's your state portal. Raise your hand if you're in Maryland. Okay. So we only got one Maryland. I will scratch out EVA and I will put EMMA, EMMA, because that's your state portal, right? Maryland is on that list still because that's my favorite sister state, but I'm going to have y'all write down y'all favorite state so we can make sure y'all do the steps that y'all need to do, right? And I'll talk to y'all about that in a minute. So Virginia, we looked at last week. We played in that for a little bit. Did anybody go back to EVA and play in it for a little bit? Nice. Did anybody find something that they like? Oh, what'd you find? Sorry. Yep, I saw that. Are you going to go after? Dang. It's a short period of time. Yeah, I hate that. Absolutely hate that. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else found something? What'd you find? Okay, but you did see examples of them. So let me tell y'all a trick, right? And people think I'm crazy. Sometimes I go after contracts just to lose. Because if I always win, how do I get better? I can't grow. So I go after them to lose so they can tell me what I can do to become the best, right? You would have stood out if your pricing was this, or you would have stood out if you had this on your team or something like that, right? But sometimes I purposely go after contracts just to lose. I also look at contracts that have already closed, because a person like you that haven't seen those type of contracts, you can get a lot out of looking at a contract that's already closed. You can see what they're coding it as. You can see who they awarded it to. That's your competition now. You can even request a FOIA. Has anybody heard of a FOIA? You can request a FOIA request so you can see, what did they charge? How did they write that contract? What did it say? How are they wording things? That's how you learn and that's how you grow. And a lot of times people skip that step because they don't realize how important that is to make you one of the strongest people to go after these contracts, right? So even though a contract is closed, or even if you are not going after that contract, still review it. Now you saw that when that closed and you had a little bit of time, but not enough time. What I would have got out of that is who awarded that contract? Because clearly they got a problem. They got a problem, right? So even if you don't go after that one, you can send them an email and say, hey, I missed this one. Please let me know if anything else comes available. Here's my capability statement, just so you can know what I bring to the table. Oh, and by the way, I have capacity. Do anybody know why I'm telling them up front I got capacity? Because a lot of people don't. And what's happening is people are getting awarded contracts and they really don't have the time to even do the work. So anytime I'm having conversations with decision makers, I let them know up front, I got capacity. Now, don't tell them you got capacity if you really ain't got capacity, because now you're hurting yourself, right? But one of the things that I teach people is government contracting changed my life. So when it comes to the government, they are top priority. Every other thing goes below that, because that is the source of income that pays my bills. I don't make my money off of y'all. I make my money off the government. That means I have to be available when the government calls me. I remember there was a $2.3 million contract out. It was a Black woman awarding this $2.3 million contract. She called me. It was like 7 o'clock at night. And I picked up the phone and answered. And she was shocked that I answered the phone. I said, when the government called me, I always answer. Maybe I give y'all this number for a reason. She awarded me that $2.3 million contract. We split it up against 4 companies. Why? Because at that time, I did not have capacity to handle a $2.3 million contract. And I was honest with her up front about it. I can't do that whole contract. That's too big for me. So what she did was she took the $2.3 million contract and she awarded it to 4 companies, which, by the way, one of those companies was my mentee. I didn't know that they went after the contract, and we each got $600,000 for that contract. But had I would have taken that contract knowing I didn't have the infrastructure to support that contract, I would have messed up my relationship. By the way, this week, I just bid on another contract with that agency. It's been 3 years since I even did anything with them. But that's why relationships matter, because I'm able to throw their name out. I got a contract with y'all. Yes, sir. No.
You
Never
can,
say
you can, but I
you
wouldn't.
can,
You can, but
but
I
I
wouldn't
wouldn't.
advise that.
Because you get an internal scoring with the government and they rate you. And here's the thing. So this is so bad. I have access to memos from the federal government, from the government, period. So I went out the contract in Florida. Florida's my hometown, y'all, right? A lot of people don't realize everything federally is public records. State and local, you have to know where to go and find it. And they like to hide a lot of their links, right? Well, this was a state contract. It was a local contract. It was actually local. And it was me and one other person that went after this contract. I can't remember if they had a budget on there or not. They didn't. I bid $400,000 for an event, one event. This other company, at the time, I didn't know what they bid. They bid $800,000. So we get the notification and they're like, only 2 of y'all went after it. This company won it. I'm like, how did that company beat me? So I went into the system that I have and I pulled the memo. This memo was 600 pages. It was crazy. It was literally all of the notes from every evaluator. It was literally both of our proposals. And then it was the meeting they had after they awarded it. And then it was the kickoff meeting that they had, all the notes from that. So I'm sitting here going through every single page. I looked at my own proposal as if I didn't write the dang old proposal. I'm like, let me refresh and see what I did and what they did. The only thing that I saw that stood out to me, 2 things stood out to me about their proposal. One, they had a risk management plan. I didn't have a risk management plan. This is an event. We're talking about up to 300, 500,000 people. I didn't have a risk management plan. I've been doing events for 10 years. I do festivals with 50,000 people, y'all. And I didn't think to put a risk management plan in that proposal. Don't know what I had going on. The other thing that stood out was they had done in California, they had done $30 million events. They were not an event planning company. They were actually a production company. So I was mad about that because I'm like, I actually do this for a living. They production, but they got their foot in the door. They realized that as a production company, they can actually put on events as well too. So now you can bring the entertainment and actually plan the events. But it was so funny to read the evaluators' notes. And it was funny to read the kickoff meeting notes, because in the kickoff meeting notes, I knew these people don't really know how to put on events. The questions they were asking and the answers they were giving didn't give event planner. It gave production company. But what was so crazy was across the board, some of the evaluators gave them perfect scores. I didn't understand. Get a call about a month later, and one of my mentees who was actually on the contract with me, she was like, Coach, you're not going to believe who I just met. I'm like, who? She said, that production company that beat us off the contract. I said, where you at? Girl, they out here hanging out with the city. They have been a part of a program that agency had did 4 years in a row. The reason why they got perfect scores is because they already knew the people. They already knew the people. It wasn't no beating them. They built the relationship, which was what I didn't have because I don't live in Florida anymore. So it made me feel better, but I said, God, because the numbers didn't make sense. But because they had the budget, they can afford to give them that because they already knew them and built that relationship with them for them to win. That's why relationships matter. It makes your risk go down. So I just knew I had to win, y'all. It was only 2 of us. Only 2 of us. And the other thing is that I've read in the notes, they had personally invited 72 businesses. It was only 2 of us that bid. And I was not one of the people that they invited to bid. So I want y'all to think about that. The government personally invited people to bid. Now, there are these rules that you're supposed to have 3 or more people that bid on contracts in order for you to award contracts. They were able to go through and get signatures for all of that to waive those. And I did not find out that until I read the memo notes. So I wasn't gonna beat them, but I learned a lot from just sitting down for a few weeks, reading and studying to figure out how I can be better. The risk management piece was the best part for me.
So, and I will share with you the 2 things that she just stated in there. Words matter.
Yep.
Production is an event. It's just all about how you write it up. So words matter. The other piece of it is sometimes the government don't even know what they ask for.
Sure
They
don't.
themselves don't know what they're asking for. Okay, I asked for an event, and somebody said a production is an event because they knew the people. Lowest price technically acceptable is a term, is an award term. Well, let me tell you about lowest price technically acceptable. The key phrase in that is technically acceptable.
Yep, technically.
I can bid 400,000 and she bid 800, and she may win because hers is actually technically acceptable. And what made that risk management strategy stand out? The government, when they get in business with contractors, they're buying risk management. They're going to get in bed with whoever produces the smallest amount of risk for them.
Yep.
Because they're already stressed over what it is they can't do. The last thing they're going to do is bring somebody in who probably can't do it either. You just multiplied their risk. So you have to, you really have to understand how the government thinks and go in the opposite way of what you think they're going to do. Lowest price technically acceptable. I know for a fact I justified $1 million contract and the lowest price was 400. And my justification was, I know what I'm asking for, and I know they can't do this at $400,000.
Yep.
I'm not willing to take that risk. Yep. So don't lower your price just for the sake of winning.
Yep.
That may not make you win. Okay.
And I'll tell y'all another secret. This is bad, but I can tell y'all because we family now. 9 times out of 10, somebody told them to put that risk management in there.
They did.
And
it was somebody in the agency.
It was somebody in the agency.
Yes.
The reason being is because that has happened with me. I have had, when I first started, people used to drop hints to me. I didn't know what they was dropping. It took years for me to realize the code. And I was like, God darn, I missed a lot of money because I didn't realize they were telling me to do something that will give me the best chance to win. And so that risk management, they probably had all issues with events prior to. So that risk stands out because they could have already decided, well, whoever got the risk plan is who we gonna go with. That's how they was getting perfect scores. They stood out because they had in there probably what they've been looking for. And somebody might have told them, they friends. I didn't figure that out until afterwards. And I don't hate the game because I've had people do that for me. Hey, make sure you cover this. That's stupid. Make sure you cover. Yes, ma'am. Now you don't got to tell me twice. I'm listening. What you said, Wanda? What you got?
Yes, cover it.
Tell me one more time, okay? All right, so you got your state portal because I always teach you to start in your backyard. Everybody, most of y'all have already touched that one. OpenGov. How many of y'all have heard of OpenGov? All right, have you been in there? OpenGov is my second favorite. One is free, okay? Let me show y'all what OpenGov look like because people mess this one up, all right? There we go. Now, when you first go to OpenGov for the first time, it's gonna be hard. Mine may open up. So yeah, it looks like this. You don't really know where to go. Okay. So if you go to login, it brings up all of this crap. Dang, I ain't been here in a long time. We're gonna go to procurement contract management. I think it's gonna get me where I need to get. Yep. And then you log in. These are 2 grants that I did up under OpenGov. I like it because it keeps it in here. It tells you when it closed, all kind of stuff, right? But you want to go and look at the open solicitations. Where they at? Network. There we go. This one's a little tricky. So if you notice, I went to network, right? And these are all of the opportunities. Yeah. Now, this was not like some of my other ones I'm going to show y'all where you can kind of search it. Y'all notice it has NIGP? That's another code that is different from your NAIC code, right? But the way that I teach y'all to cheat is to go to Google and have Google convert your NAIC code to an NIGP code. But I do not filter OpenGov. I just go straight down the list. I just go straight down the list to see what they have open. And if it's something that I like, I pull it, right? So I'm gonna teach y'all something that I teach my high profile clients, all right? I have a rule. Sourcing is when you are looking for opportunities, okay? I source every single week. Every Friday, I spend 4 hours doing revenue generating activities. It could be grants, it could be contracts, it could be invoicing. It's anything that's going to generate revenue for my company, okay? So I spend 4 hours or less sourcing, all right? When I source, I have rules. The first rule is I have to pull 10 possible opportunities that I want to go after. If I go through OpenGov and I find all 10, I won't look at no other portals for that week. Okay? There's a strategy behind this. Once I pull them 10 based off of description and title and scope of work, then I have to take these 10 and I narrow it down to 5, my top 5. Once I get to my top 5, I can either choose to go after all 5, or depending on what my goal is normally 3 to 5 a month. Or I can only go after 2 of them and give myself some more opportunities for the rest of the month, because it's 4 weeks in a month, right? Now, the reason why I do that is because there are a lot of contracts I can go after, but my job is not to go after all the contracts I can go after. My strategy is to go after the contracts that I have the best chance of winning. And so when you start looking at contracts and you say, let me narrow it down to the one that I got the best chance of winning. Well, what makes you have the best chance of winning? 1, location. Where is it at? Do I want to travel? How much is it going to cost me to travel? 2, who do I have to go on this contract with me to make me the strongest for this contract? There are contracts that I've won that I knew I was going to win. I had the baddest team in the world. There was no way you couldn't award me that contract. So then when I look at these opportunities and I'm narrowing it down, I'm like, do I got somebody powerful to go on that contract with me and give us the best chance of winning? 3, pricing. How much they willing to give me? I hate the ones with no budget. It scares me. If I can't go and find an incumbent on it, or if I cannot, a incumbent is the person that won it prior to, somebody that has already won that award. If I can't go and find information on this contract and you don't give me a budget, that might not be the best chance of winning, because 9 times out of 10, I'm going to overprice it. I always do, right? So this is how I narrow it down from my 10 to my top 5. And once I get to the top 5, I'm really looking for the top 3. Once I get them 3, now I want y'all to think about this. There was 10 I qualified for, but all 10 didn't check off all my boxes. So I want to go after the ones that I'm like, check, 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 check. Let's go. Let's go get the check. That's a strategy. That's strategically going after contracts that I got the best chance of winning. That's why I have an 85% success rate, because I'm not chasing every opportunity. I'm chasing the right opportunities. The ones that if you don't award me, I want to know why. Because I narrowed this down. I'm not like the other contractors. I strategically looked at this contract to see what I'm bringing to the table. I'm positioning myself to win. Now, during use it or lose it, it's bad. Because during use it or lose it, I know that the government has to give away the money. If they don't use it, they lose it. Nobody wants to lose their money. When me and Wanda first met, that was the first thing we talked about. Wanda like, I ain't play that. They weren't coming in there snatching my money up. I spent my money. And then Wanda started telling me how she was stealing other people's money. The agency ain't used that money. I took theirs too. That's how dirty they are. They real dirty.
I had a need.
A need that she created.
I did. It was a need I created.
So during use it or lose it, if they don't use the money, they're going to lose it, right? So I increase my goals during use it or lose it because I know I have a better chance of winning more. Now, I don't just increase my goals without increasing my infrastructure. Because if I do that, I'm setting myself up for failure. My job ain't to set myself up. And my job is not to allow them to set me up. So I always power up staffing, teaming, collaborations during use it or lose it because I know that 3 to 5 just went to 10 to 15. Can you imagine 3 months in a row winning 10 to 15 contracts? You got to have your shit together. Because if you don't, you're going to mess yourself up. So I don't encourage you to kick it up a notch unless you done checked off all the boxes to make sure you're in position to actually execute. Any questions?
And so in anticipation of use it or lose it for state and local contracts, their fiscal year ends June 30th.
That is correct.
So they are revving up right now with money that they can't, money that they need to spend.
That is correct. And the thing about it is, I always teach seasons. The government has seasons, right? So this is so bad to tell y'all, but I'm going to tell y'all because I like y'all. Can you get us down there so you can charge me up? There's not a down season in the government. Okay? When you think about when you contract on a local, state, and federal, right? The federal government is on a October the 1st to September 30th fiscal year, right? But in that federal season, I'm talking about federal only right now, them contracting officers and program managers, they shut down by that week before Thanksgiving. They done until second or third week of January. A lot of people don't know, like DOD, their system shut down for 3 weeks. The first week of October, they're doing nothing, literally nothing. So either contracts are already out or contracts ain't coming out for them until after those systems come back up because they can't even award anything until those systems comes back up, right? So another thing that the federal government likes to do, selected agencies, they'll put out a bunch of big contracts that's going to keep you busy for the whole holiday season. Because the reason why Trump want to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, a lot of federal workers don't do nothing. I hate to tell y'all that. That's the truth. They don't do nothing. State and local works 10 times harder than federal government employees. That's how they're able to get rid of all these people and still got all these people sitting around doing nothing. Because they don't have to work as hard once they know the systems. So they're going to keep you busy. They're going to put out a couple contracts, and for the next 2 months, they watching Netflix at their desk. Ask me how I know. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, y'all get away with this? How is this even possible? So then by that third week of January, where we at right now, you're going to see a plethora of opportunities hop out. Now, we're in a little different time zone right now. Well, a little different season right now because of Trump. We are on a CR. We are on a temporary budget spend, right? But once they pass it before the 31st, you are going to see an influx of federal opportunities. You are going to see an influx of state and local too, because they're waiting on the money to just trickle down, right? So then my use it or lose it, people don't know this, is from February until September. All of my mentees know I take off October, November, and December every year. I get a whole quarter off. The reason being is because I don't bust my butt. From February, I get October, November, December, and January off. 4 months. Because I done bust my butt from February until September. And what people don't know is from February until September, I have hit local, I have hit state, and I have hit federal. I don't have to work for 4 months. I done met my goals. We make that income is just flowing in. I'm getting paid every 30 days. So there's not really a downtime. My biggest contract, that $2.3 million contract, that was one that was put out in November. She put it out in November. She didn't award it until January or February, but that kept us busy trying to prepare to respond for that. So when you think about it, you have federal from October into September. You have state and local from June until June, or July until June. So when federal is down, state and local is up because it's their use it or lose it time. Then there is a period where state and local and federal are all in use it or lose it. Now, what people don't realize is that nobody in the government want to wait until the end of use it or lose it to get rid of their money. Because one, the government gonna snatch it without even telling you. And two, as soon as they get rid of the money, they get to sit around and do nothing. So why not get rid of it as soon as you can so you can enjoy it when the rest of the government is catching up? So you have some agencies that they working up until midnight on September 31st and June 30th. And then you have other agencies like, we already got rid of our money. We got rid of our money back 2 months ago. We're not waiting on September 30th to come to stress ourselves out. So when you think about it as a contractor, I got work to do all year, technically, because when I win the contract, now I got to execute the contract, which can keep me busy for the rest of the year. So as a contractor, you have multiple opportunities for you to make money. You just got to learn the seasons, learn who you want to target, learn their priorities, and go after the contract. Any questions? All right, so we got OpenGov. I like looking at OpenGov. So like this one right here is inventory parts. That is what we call a shopping contract. You're shopping for the government. I don't shop for the government. Let me tell you why. First of all, I like my own money. I don't like when the government pre-spend my money, okay? I like services with the government because I do the service, which don't cost me any money at the time, and then I get paid every 30 days for doing that service, right? But when you shop for the government, you actually using your money up front. So you fronting the government, and then the government pays you back, but you have had to spend your money first. Now, this is bad, but I always tell people as a small business owner, when there is a crisis, there is opportunities. People don't like talking about it, but y'all in the military, y'all know. So I like crisis because whenever there is a crisis, the government increases the spending dollars. And so then I will go after certain opportunities. Like I bought the government in California toothbrushes. I have bought them tissue. When they had those fires, those were crises. Money increases. So what they would have spent $5 for, they spend $25 a toothbrush. And then they allow you to just go in the store and get it, ship it right on to them. I was just telling Wanda, one of my mentees, because I do mentoring for the state and my Chamber of Commerce, one of my mentees worked for a university. And she was telling me, we have lunch every month. And she was telling me that there's this one guy, okay? He's not Black. Let's just say that, all right? Well, he learned the threshold for that university. So he learned how much money he could go over charging the university for things that they needed, gifts that they needed for people. And so she said, when she first started, she said they would get them nicely wrapped and everything was perfect. She said eventually he started learning more and more about the university. And he realized that there was no rule that said it needed to be nicely wrapped. So then he started ordering it from Amazon, putting the highest markup he could put on it. And he started sending all the packages to the university in the Amazon boxes. He didn't even cut the boxes open or put them in nothing. And she's like, I can't stand it. But he learned the rules of the game. He didn't have to make it pretty. There was nothing that said make it pretty. There was nothing that said he couldn't get it from Amazon. And she knew she could go right to Amazon and see it was $3, but he is charging $30 because he learned the threshold of what he can charge. The more knowledge you have, the more powerful you become. Okay?
But so you don't think, okay, when they ask you to buy something, they're asking for thousands of something.
Sometimes.
But sometimes. So it's not like you're going to go out and buy 10 toothbrushes. You might be buying 20,000 cans of peaches. So just when you think about that, that's what you're, because you potentially, like a lot of jails and detention centers do those type of contracts where you're shopping for them, you're shopping for the food. So you're actually feeding an entire building. So just be mindful when you do the shopping contract.
But see, when it's a crisis, so for example, we got a snowstorm coming. What y'all think is happening right now? They are already geared up the contract for the plows.
Vendors.
Do y'all know I have a client that makes $8,000 an hour shoveling snow. $8,000 an hour. Mm-hmm. It's real. It's real.
Yeah, you can
Real.
make $1,500 an hour doing nothing. You just don't call.
Yep.
In Virginia,
Just don't call.
you just don't call.
When I first moved here,
Yeah.
this is so bad. Because of that client,
Yeah.
you can actually have a regular F-150 and put the equipment on the
Yeah.
front of it and get you contracts. Yes,
And
you
they're-
can.
yes. And the thing is, Virginia is short of they're short.
Yes, they're short. So
They're
guess what
short,
happens when they're
so-
short? That
Yeah.
8,000 go to 16,000. You got a truck?
Get
Let
you
me
a
go get the
plow.
piece, baby. Let's go do it. Let's do
Get you a plow,
it. Seriously. But guess what?
but they're paying you $1,500 an hour just to sit on the side
Right,
of the road.
right. But here's the thing. This is why.
So
So I stopped mentoring for a year and a half, right? And then I did my strategic plan for 12 months, 3 years, and 5 years. And what I realized was when I stopped mentoring that year and a half, I lost my connection. So I was like, dang, I got to go back mentoring because I'm actually, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm actually positioning myself to be elected, to become an elected official. And in order to do that, I need backing, right? I need people to back me. And so when I was mentoring and coaching and online, I could reach 600,000 people every 28 days, right? So part of that plan, I'm like, dang, I got to get back online. I got to start back mentoring. I got to start back coaching and all this, just so I can have the backers to support me. But what I realized was when I was mentoring and coaching, I have mentees in every state. I have mentees internationally. And the crazy part about it is at that time, I didn't realize how powerful I was with all those people. There was not a state that I didn't have boots on the ground, which is one of my rules. I would not bid in the state if I don't have boots on. Hey, I need you to go to the meeting for me in your area. Can you do that for me? Never tell me no. But I always made it a mission that I would not go after something unless I had boots on the ground in that state, just in case I had an emergency. Right? This was my strategic plan. But what a lot of y'all don't realize is if 5 of y'all get together and say, okay, you got the F-150. All right, we're going to all get $5,000. We're going to put in and buy this equipment. And then what we're going to do is after we get your equipment up and going, we're going to move to you one now. Then once we get you up and going, then we're going to move to you now. And now y'all got 3 trucks in one of the top. We in Virginia. It always snows. And then if it don't snow in Virginia, guess what? It's snowing somewhere else. Maryland, same thing. All of the states.
yeah, but let me tell you the crazy part about Virginia, because I know the contracting officer that awarded the contract for the plows. And you get paid just to sit on the side of the road. So like that snowstorm that's coming,
Yeah.
somebody sitting on the side of the road, whether it snows or not, is getting
And they're
paid
getting paid.
$1,500 just to be sitting on the side of the road. And that's $1,500 an hour.
It's crazy.
So see, everybody's looking for the glamorous contract. That's why she said janitorial are some of the best contracts.
Yep.
Everybody needs their building clean.
Well, especially with COVID.
Everybody.
Can y'all imagine how much money they made during COVID? I bought masks for the government. I had to buy a lot. I still got masks at my house. Okay? Dang, I didn't know it was going to end that quick. But that's how I made a lump sum of my money. My daughter used to sew. She made the mask. She got contracts to make the mask for the hospital. And she did she got contracts with Publix. She did Walmart. She made her most money during COVID. It was a crisis. We lost a lot of people. But as a business owner, we leveraged what was happening in the world.
So our business, like so when you see things like that, you know, I can do that. Here you're like, yeah, I can do that. But if that's not something that was originally my business does or I offered, but I'm seeing an opportunity, how do you pivot? How do you just transition to like, oh wow, like yeah, my husband got a truck. We didn't even think about that. But that's not our business.
Right.
How do you do that? I have to have a whole other thing.
No.
How
So
does that work?
I don't think I shared this with y'all. See, y'all, listen, I tell people I tell y'all business, but I tell my business too, okay? At one point in my business career, I had 14 businesses. I didn't know no better. I thought every industry that I touched, I needed an LLC to touch it. But what ended up happening was with 14 businesses, all 14 businesses didn't get my attention. So half of them was making no money. I might have got a little bit of something for it, but it wasn't profitable. So I met one of my billionaire friends and got some time. I got some one-on-one time. And the first thing he said to me was, by the end of this year, I want you to only have 2 businesses. Get rid of everything else. And the bad part was, at the time I had 3 nonprofits too. He said, and that has to include your nonprofits too. So either you want 1 for-profit and 1 nonprofit, or 2 nonprofits or 2 for-profits, but nonetheless, you better have 2 by the end of this year. I'm hard-headed. I had 3, okay? But I got it down close enough, okay? And now I'm down to 2. Now I'm finally at 2. But what I realized and what he was explaining to me was, there's no rules to say you have to have a business for everything that you touch, okay? Now, for the government, it has to make sense. So if you say, okay, we're going to do this plowing, this snowing thing, I would do, especially with a consultant company, I would do a DBA and have that DBA with that particular thing and focus on that. Now, I will only do that if it's something that I can constantly get money for over and over and over. A lot of y'all don't realize that there are hobbies, there are hustles, and then there are profitable businesses. I teach my mentees to test everything. Don't you start a business until you done made money 90 days or more. Everything you're doing at that point, you're just testing out to see if it works. So you can go after it, because once you get into it, you might say, I don't like this. My daughter got into math, she quit. She made the most money she ever made, but she quit. Then I had to take over. Babe, that was not on my bingo card, is me doing math for her. I didn't even know how to sew at the time. So you don't want to just start a business just to start a business, because you might not even like that. It might be temporary money for you. It might be a stream of income. And that's where we go wrong. It just might be a stream, not an actual business. Now, it's up to you to say what to go after, you know? And if it's anything with the government, you just got to be able to convince the government that you can do it. I bounce around from a lot of things because I like to diversify my income. I always tell people, especially my federal employees, which just recently happened last year, they had all their eggs in one basket. They snatched that payroll paycheck from them and they had nothing. You never give anybody that much power. I teach people that you need to know the percentages of your numbers, of your income streams. If anything got 80%, you're giving something too much power. Some need 30%, 30%, 40%. But anything over 50, 60%, that's risky. Because when Trump got in office, guess what? The first type of contract, he hates consultants. Well, what did I tell you? That's my mere business. He hates consultants. I also teach this thing called an ABC framework. I'm giving y'all all the juice, okay? Write this down. Anything in my category A is anything I can do by myself with my eyes closed. That's event planning, consulting, pretty much those 2. I don't need nobody else. Any contract I can get in my A category is what I can do by myself. In my B category, that's where I build partners, okay? That is where I collaborate people with, like Wanda, where we both do a little something, something, and when we come together, she can do a little something, and I can do the other little something. The reason why my B category is so important to me is because 1, I learn from other people that I collaborate with, and 2, it takes all the stress and weight just off of me, right? So, for example, I had a migraine, y'all. I almost didn't make it tonight. Thank God I'm collaborating with Wanda. If I couldn't have made it, the whole class wouldn't have been canceled. Y'all would have just got Wanda. Show still goes on. So I like my B people. It don't all just rely on just me, and it allows me to tap into a little bit something else. So for example, like I was talking to them, administrative, if we go on a contract together and they need me, I can do the administrative part. They can do whatever they specialize in. That's a B team. I do a little something, they do a little something. Now, my C category is something that I am absolutely not interested in at all. But I know how to find the contracts. I know how to write the contracts. I know how to comply with the contracts, keep everything up and going. I have teams like medical teams, janitorial teams, IT teams. I don't touch those contracts at all. My C teams are people that is a completely different industry, and I don't touch them at all. I just do my piece of it to help us win. Now, when Trump came in office, what y'all think he attacked? My A team. If I did not have a B and a C category, I would have lost all my income. But because I have B and C, when he attacked A, All I did was slid to B and C, and I'm still able to produce income. So you do not want to put all your eggs in one basket, because at any time somebody can snatch that away from you. And if you give them that much power to snatch it away from you, you won't stop eating. I teach people to fish so you can eat for the rest of your life. If you came to me and I did all the fishing for you, and I'm a Cancer, don't let me get mad at you. You won't starve, eventually die. Okay? So you don't want to give people that much power. You got to diversify your income stream so that if anything ever goes down, you got something to rely on. The reason why I'm building relationships here is because I got to keep people in my teams. I can do contracts with them in the B category or the C category. And now that's an income stream that comes in for me, that when he's on the attack for A, I still got other ways to eat. Any questions? Now, you got to trust people. My medical team, they bad to the bone, y'all. My first medical group, they probably was with me maybe 4 months. Each one of them ladies went off. Nurse practitioners, doctors. I mean, them ladies are doing their thing, multi-millions right now. That was my first medical group. I ain't heard from them in about 2 years. So then I built a second medical group. Keep them going, because that's what helps me eat. It helps diversify my income streams. Any questions? All right. Yes.
I think for those of us who never done this, I think the financial part of it, when that comes back, how to use that money correctly.
Mm-hmm.
People, I don't know how well educated some people
Yeah.
are. They'll spend that money
Yes.
in ways that are not specifically. You better be financially well learned and how to deal with that, separate personal money from business.
That is correct. Commingling funds is a real thing. That's why my girl getting indicted, right? That's why she in trouble. Commingling funds. I have a lawyer. I have 5 lawyers. Okay, not because I want them, it's because I have to have them. Their job is to protect me, but the biggest job that they have is to make sure I stay in compliance with my contracts. I never have to worry about the government because I have a legal team that makes sure I do what I'm supposed to do to stay in compliance. Now, what the government can't do is tell me how to spend my money. I'm a for-profit business, right? But what I have to do is make sure I do everything that I told them I was going to do, right? So when it comes to your money, there's so many pieces of that puzzle. But the biggest part is making sure you stand in compliance with those contracts. And that's why I pay my legal team. Now, right now, I'm about to sue my landlord. I'm suing him for $500,000. He got a legal team. I got 2 legal teams. I had to get enough legal teams just for this case. But at the end of the day, I made sure I was in position to protect myself, because business is dirty. People do bad business. And if you don't know any better, you will put yourself in a very bad situation. And had I not had the income to be able to afford the best attorney in my region, I'd be screwed. Because my landlord got a badass attorney too. So you got to do right by your money. If you don't do right by your money, you're only hurting yourself. And when it comes to paying people, here's the thing you will always hear about me. I pay well. I pay my people more than anybody in my industry pays. I treat people right. I do what I say I'm going to do, and I do everything I tell the government I'm going to do. Because I'm not going to give you an opportunity to stop my primary income from coming in. You got to do what you say you're going to do. If not, it's going to come back and bite you. The people can tell on you if you don't pay them in the contract. If you say I'm using Wanda and I'm going to pay Wanda, and you don't pay Wanda, Wanda can go to that agency and report you. I don't want those problems. And the government don't want nothing to do with mess. If they think it's messy, because Wanda told y'all this last week, people ain't going to say I did business with Coach Brooks. They'll say I did business with DOD. They didn't do business with DOD. They actually did business with me. But DOD don't want that heat. They don't want those problems. And you don't want those problems either, because it ain't no getting out of them. But you got right to do. I got a CPA. I got a bookkeeper. I got a legal team. Have to. But when you're doing government contracting and you constantly have a flow of a cash flow coming in, you don't have to worry about those problems. The thing is, if you're not bidding, you cannot win. You must bid in order for you to win. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. It depends on the type of contract. So with my C teams, I like to stick in categories. You notice I said a medical team, right? That's RNs, that's nurse practitioners, that's doctors. I got anesthesiologists on that medical team. It depends on the type of contract. So right now there's a staffing issue with medical, right? Well, because I know this industry, when COVID happened, that's when the medical team made their most money because they were traveling, right? But what ended up happening was the wrong companies got those contracts and they were not paying the medical people the right compensation they deserve for putting their lives on the line. So once I realized that they was mistreating them, I started going after those contracts and I started using my medical team to actually go after, and they were paying them $25 an hour. I was paying them $75 an hour because the contracts were stupid numbers. And what those people were doing, they was pocketing all that money. And once the medical team found out, once the medical people found out, they're like, no, we ain't going after them contracts until they had somebody that treated them right. They were putting them in rinky-dink motels. I'm putting them in 5-star hotels because the government is paying for it. The government is paying for it. So it just depends on the type of contract. There's a staffing issue right now. Those medical people aren't going out unless they're making good money. So I'm only going after the ones that's going to pay well because I know the medical team that I got, they've already been treated nice. They're looking for a certain standard. If it's not that, we don't want it. Good question. Any other questions? It's a lot. All right. The next one that I got on y'all list is instant markets. How many of y'all know that one? Now that one used to be free. They just changed it, I think, last year. I always go to Google to find it, y'all. Why they let me connect to the internet? Let me see. He didn't pay his bill this month. Where I go? Why it cut me off? Oh, maybe I was on my own hotspot. What's going on, sir? Help me out. Help me out, brother. You messing up. Man. Oh, yeah. What time is it? Okay, while he get me on the internet, y'all go ahead, go on the break. I forgot. My bad. We was working.
What kind of? Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
So
It's $75 a
so I
month,
wouldn't be looking for
but
that.
I cheat. So if
That
you
doesn't
do,
mean it doesn't exist.
because
You
after
just have
so
to
many
look in the right
searches,
place.
it'll lock you out.
So
So I go on Safari, and then
you
I
can-
go to
so when you go
Google
into SAM,
or whatever theirs is, Chrome,
number in,
and that's by
or
the
when
time
you
I'm
go
done that,
into
I'm
the
done
government-
searching.
the local
But
government
I
portal,
don't
you put
recommend
your
paying for
number
it. I
in
paid for it for a
and
few
let it
months
find the
You don't use
contracts
it
for
enough
you. And the
to
beauty
pay
about
them
finding the
$75.
contract
Thank
that way
y'all.
is it tells you what agency will do those contracts. Yeah. So, I mean, the government environment is changing because, like, they're paying for
Yes, sir.
coaching